Hey everyone, welcome to another Monday of Parent to Parent. I'm Tania Farran, your host for this amazing show. I've got another great guest to talk to you about, so excited to bring him on. But before we do that, I want to share with you my book, Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual. It's available on Amazon right now, and I think it's like 50% off or something right now. So go grab your copy. There's a Kindle edition as well as a paperback edition of Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual. So we'll talk a little bit more about that down the road, but check it out. If you have any questions, you can always message me. Also want to share with you that I have a book study that I can make available for parents or parent groups on my book, Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual. So you can also reach out to me for that. All right. Well, tonight's topic is teens and socialization. So I'm excited to bring up my guest, Richard Lowenthal. Welcome, Richard. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Dr. Tania.
Hello. Yeah. Now, we've had Richard on before. Richard and I are not strangers to one another. He is actually a member of our network, as well as the creator of our space for our network. So we're going to talk about this amazing space that he has created and how it can be used for teens and, to help with their socialization. And so Richard and I have done a little bit of some research and things about the loneliness of teens and things like that. But first, I'm going to let Richard take a minute and introduce himself. Maybe he wants to tell us where he's from, some of the things that he does on a regular basis. Take it away, Richard.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm located in São Paulo, Brazil. And my background, I have a very, very different background because I started working with communication, marketing, and technology. But for some reason, I ended up with education. I have a business school here, and we teach more like professionals. But one of the things that I learned in my career is that teaching professionals and teaching teenagers or kids, it's pretty much the same, right? I have many examples, yes. And after that, I decided to leave as an executive and started Go Brunch, which is this platform that is used for creating different spaces for communities, pretty much creates a deeper sense of belonging. And that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, I love that. So Richard and I have met in regards to his Go Brunch space and have talked about that use for a parent or a parent group. So when we get into that, so let's think for a minute here and talk about, share with everybody just that moment in 2020 when you opened up your Go Brunch space and what you found with your teens.
There are many different possibilities. I think that especially when you say like teams, one of the things that I realize is technology really helps us to connect, but at the same time, it breaks us apart, right? And I remember with my team using tools like, I don't know, like these messaging tools. It was getting very, very bureaucratic, right? Because you message a person, hey, are you there? And oh, I'm busy, I cannot meet you right now. And it's not the same kind of feeling that you have once you are in a physical space. And that's one of the main, let's say, concerns that I started to have, because what is going on here, right? Like, why cannot just, interact with people, with my team members, the same way that I do in real life? And I remember speaking with a person who works in a more traditional industry like pharmaceutics. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned to me something about energy. He said, I work 3 times a week at home. I don't feel the same energy as I was working back in the office, right? Every time in the office, I feel that energy, like not even mentioning like, water cooler or something like that, but I would say just the people surrounding you, it just makes you feel a little bit different, right? And virtually speaking, as much as you have social media and you have tons of messaging on LinkedIn or whatever messaging that you have, at the end of the day, you feel kind of isolated, right? And that's where Go Brunch has a very interesting role where you can just create some environments that makes people feel like they belong at this place.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So we're going to talk about, kind of that difference, right, between from scrolling to sitting, and how we can get our kids and our mindset to be, from a passive observer to more of an active participant is what Richard's kind of talking about. There's a lot of kids that are at home. And so getting them involved and getting them communicating with other kids and spaces. I know kids use Google Meet a lot. They drop in Google Meet links a lot. But this is another incredible space. You want to share your screen and talk about that? There's kind of this idea of like a virtual coffee shop or a virtual space for kids to hang out. So Rich, you hit that present at the very bottom of your screen here. Do you see that in where we're at right now?
I got it.
Here we go. So talk to people about this space, and this is what Go Brunch is.
It is. And I remember, as I mentioned before, we used to have a lot of teenagers using Go Brunch, like especially, I'd say 1 year after the pandemic, because they still had to stay inside of their homes. And right. And that was one of the rooms that I remember they were using a lot, which is this small coffee shop. Right. And it's really cool because, again, many times you are just doing something on your computer or on your phone, but nothing stops you to do this thing together with more people. Right. And that's one of the things that I started to realize. As much as many times the kids were in silence inside of the rooms, they were just feeling the energy of each other. Just like, I'm not just lonely here. If I say a hi in the chat, someone can answer. I'm close to my friends here. And that makes you feel, more surrounded, less lonely, right? And loneliness is a really, really important factor that we're facing these days. And that was like the beginning, right? I started to realize how powerful this kind of virtual space can be for kids or even adults, for them to feel like, oh, I have people here with me. It's not just like 30-minute session is over, right? And sometimes it's kind of depressing because you are in a session full of people, and 1 minute after you are just lonely again, and you're just having to figure out something by yourself. And that's the power of doing something like that. In the adult's perspective, one of the things that we started to see is like people doing something called body doubling, right? Which seems to be a kind of a new word, but it's like, imagine that you are just working together with more people inside of the room with a specific, let's say, assignment. Oh, I have 10 minutes to finish something like that. And by joining some of the rooms, I started to hear something like, oh, I need to finish this today. And someone else would say, no worries, I'm here for you. I'll be your chief accountability officer, right? And this is something that is powerful because that definitely gives the energy that some people need to finish something, to achieve something.
Yeah. That is so cool. Very cool. When I look at this space, my brain goes to all the different ways that parent groups or people can utilize this space. So I'm going to take it from the kid spot to what we're doing with it in our network. We have a network of professionals, and we use the space. We have our own space. It doesn't look like this. It is branded for us. And that's the cool thing about it, is that you can make it whatever you want. So if you have a Girl Scout troop or a Boy Scout troop, you can brand it with those types of things and put different things inside there. But like for us, it's our colors and the styles that we want for our network. And I love that you are in a space together and you feel close together, like you're hanging out. You kind of get a vibe of, I'm hanging out with you. Not just that I'm on Zoom or on Teams or on Google Meet together, but we're hanging out in this cool coffee shop or this workspace, something like that. But then also everyone can turn their cameras on too. So like your cameras can be turned on so you can see them, Oh, look at that space. Oh, you're going to show us some more spaces. I love this. Yes.
This one, right? Like I love this more minimal room where you have multiple seats, and it's really cool because again, it's just like reflecting your personality. I'm a person who likes, colorful stuff, and that's how I design my offices. And every room that I join, like even if I get here to my office. Oh, I think I'm already here somehow. Let me just find myself. Here it is. Right. And then I'm here in my office. Like, this is the way that I look, and that this is the way that I imagine my office. And even if in my office, in person, my physical office, it was something like that. Not as much colorful, but it was something like that. That means it's just representing myself.
Sure. Yeah. And I've met Richard in that office. I've come to that office before. We've had meetings in there.
Yes,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. Yes. Do you have any other pictures that you wanted to share with us at this
Let me
point?
see here. Oh, yeah, this one here I really like. Again, I see many beautiful things that users they did, but I love
Oh,
this one.
yeah.
I designed it for an award that we had. We had like two presenters here, and then every nominee they had like a seat, as you can see, right? And it was really cool because, again, like, I can even find here the video, right? But we have like the two presenters just announcing the winners, and then the winner could just show here in their presenter cam. The presenter cam would show here on top of this two circles, right? And like there was like a really kind of sophisticated presentation with gold and black showing, like, the winners. It was an amazing experience, and yeah, and again, small details, right, that makes a difference.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think about, again, going back to the kids, like, I know we have a lot of in-person schools, but we also have a lot of virtual schools, or we have virtual options for kids. And so they can come and purchase a Go Brunch platform and utilize it. I'm thinking things like student council, right? Wouldn't that be great to have a student council meeting in there? Church groups, they can have, even though they meet in person, maybe they put a virtual session out for kids. I think we forget sometimes too, and let's get into that a little bit, about that, digital depression that kids have. Nearly one in 3 teens are grappling with anxiety or depression. And so a lot of times they have anxiety about leaving the house or being in social circles. So this would be a literal safe place and safe way for them to meet up with other people in a really cool space.
And that's something that we had some discussions, right? I think the world really needs, Dr. Tania, because kids are at home and many times the parents are working,
Yeah.
right? And they don't have, like, okay, what should I do? And then they start playing like Roblox, and even themselves they say, oh, sometimes this is a little bit toxic, right? Like, and I don't see spaces from virtual schools with moderated, let's say, supervision, right? With tutors and,
Mhm.
let's say, certified people, like helping them out with events. And one of the things that I remember from the moment they were online is that we had a lot of different events organized by themselves, such as birthdays. And I don't know if it's true, right? But I remember people saying, like, this is the best birthday of my life because my parents even forgot my birth. I don't know if it's true or not, right? Because kids, they are kids, right? But
Yeah.
making them getting emotional because of the kind of atmosphere that they created, right? Like everyone was feeling special inside of the rooms. And these events, they were magical. Sometimes they had, like, parties or weddings or stuff like that, or even like, what was the name of that, like therapy room, or that they were,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But I think having something moderated by adults would be really, really important, right? With qualified adults, and something that I really feel the schools need at this point.
Absolutely. I love that. I want to take a minute and thank you, Jackie, for joining us today. We certainly appreciate your love and support. We feel it. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And, I agree with that. I feel like, they do need a social space for kids that is supervised, right? And so, as a school, I'm a middle school principal, but as a school administrator, you can have certain, counselors in supervising, teachers in supervising these spaces, and, giving kids an opportunity to meet in different rooms. There's a lot of things that you can do in these spaces. Um, which is really beneficial to their, mental health.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember there is a person from the UK, and he's a professor, I think, in a college, right? And he uses this way. He has a space that is not used exactly for teaching, but is used like for the students to gather, right, and work on some sort of assignment or just discuss a specific topic. And this is
Yeah,
something really, he's getting really good results, and then he can just join to provide some sort of guidance. And yeah, it's definitely something powerful. And again, it can last forever, like 24/7, right? And or you can just lock the room and use, like, I don't know, like at specific times of the day. But definitely something we have been discussing, right, that represents a huge potential, especially for the virtual schools, to extend the relationship or the social engagement among their students.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so, this also goes along with our, a lot of our neurodivergent individuals find that, traditional social settings are overwhelming to them, and so it's a nice visual in here and low pressure for them to be able to go in because they can also customize this. So, this is a great place for a therapy session, right? For some people, or spaces where, like you went into some of your rooms, like your office had 3 spots, 4 spots, something like that. You can go into different spaces that have different number of people. This is a smaller number of people that can join this space. And so, and the design can be as minimal or as elaborate as we saw with the award ceremony that you had, right? You could have 100 people in that space, right? So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think we had like 50 people in this space here. It was like truly amazing to see like the energy.
mhm.
And you're absolutely right. Yeah. And many of these kids, they are very, very creative. Right. And I remember that the first time that I saw something animated, it came from a kid, right? They share like in a forum that we had like the room that they were designing. It was like an animated flower kind of
Oh,
right,
cute.
super creative, yeah, minimalistic, and see, like they have a lot of potential, right? But they need this kind of space, like to encourage them to do more. And many times they're
Yes.
just going by themselves, but they don't have the opportunity to share with others.
Right. And even with a school, you can have, like I said, your student council. If you had a space like this, they could design these rooms. I think people don't understand that, but these rooms can be designed and changed, correct by the owner of the platform for that school. Correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Once you have your space, right? Think about the building. You're gonna have multiple rooms inside of it, just like this one here. It's not, of course, it's not even close as beautiful as yours, but and then you have the ability to say, "Oh, I want to assign this room here for a specific moderator to customize or to kind of decorate these rooms specifically for a party or for a specific use case." And then you can have, yeah, different rooms for with different moderators running every day for different purposes.
And how fun would it be, right, to be a teacher and to say, okay, we're all going to be in the classroom together, and that's one of the spaces. Okay, while you guys are in there, I'm taking 2 kids. We're going to go in this space over here, and then 2 kids can go in this space over here and work, like you said, and do assignments and answer quizzes, or maybe work on a project together or something like that. So, this is beyond that boring space, the boring classroom. So will you show them some of those interactive tools that you have available to you, like screen share and emojis? And, we obviously can see all of these different rooms that they can choose from. And the moderator can control that, right? Who can go in the rooms, how many people can go in the room, what rooms are open.
Yes, yes, and you are absolutely right. Like, you have a lot of controls and a lot of, let's say, privacy permissions that you can add if you want to disable. I remember, for example, we had a few rooms that they didn't have like micro cameras, right? Because they were for younger teenagers, and we had like, over 16, they were able to speak using their microphones, and you have the ability to start setting up the rooms according to the audience that you have.
Okay.
And yeah, and you can even like hide the gifs, right? If you think it's not something that you want to provide. But of course, everything that you have here is something that is customizable, but also you have like settings, right, for removing or adding. And you also have ability to add friends, right, which some people use that. And then you can see the list of your friends that you have online. And yeah, it's actually cool for you to kind of not only think about a, let's say, a one-time conference, but you can use this forever as part of your community, right? I think community is something that definitely represent the foundation of Gold Branch.
Right. And we do recommend, though, if you're a school, and Richard said this before, if you're a school or an organization, that you have a moderator in there with this. This is not just a platform that kids can just jump into without the moderator opening the room, being present in the room. We want you to know you still have to be responsible for it. Go Brunch doesn't provide the monitors for these spaces. You would need an adult in there. But I love that the monitor has, or the owner has, the permissions control, and so they can turn things on and turn things off, like mics and cameras for them. Now go back over your face again, hover over that again, and will you click the GIF again, Richard, so they can kind of see what pops up when you do that. So it's kind of fun. We do this in our meetings and we have such fun with the GIFs. And so if you click on that one, you get some options.
Oh yeah, the GIF, right?
Yeah. And so you can just, I love the Elmo one. That's one of my favorite ones. Or you can do the time, and then it shows it. So like if someone says something, maybe you're celebrating it, or, you can, have a conversation like, how are you feeling? Somebody find a GIF to show me how you feel.
Yes, and some people even use like for hands raising or any kind of expressions, right? And what is really interesting is that the idea of the GIF actually came from a kid.
Oh, really?
Yes, and once we released, I remember the adults saying, we love that." Right, but it came from a kid say, I need like PFP. I was, what is PFP? PFP, right? Well, what is an animated PFP? And then I had to research a little bit, which is like profile picture. They wanted something animated in the profile, but in addition to that, we brainstormed and had an idea to create something like this, right? You can either add to yourself or you can send to someone else if they are inside of the same room.
Okay. And then the thumbs up, show them those options there too. And that thumbs up. So you've got, you can do a poll. Everybody, A is this, B is this, C is this. Raise your hand, and so those are some great options for you as well. And then obviously there's also a screen share, which is really cool because, like I said, we have our network meetings in there as a bunch of adults. And so I know we're speaking and talking about teens and socialization, but again, this is a space they can go in and make a presentation where they don't have to feel awkward about it. They maybe have their Bitmoji up like you have, their character face, and they're able to talk behind the screen, but they can also share their screen and show the information on it.
One of the things they would love to do is showing something they were drawing, right? And many of them, they were very talented, and they were like sharing the screen and showing like drawing something, and people just adding comments, right? Positive comments always, like, oh, this is beautiful, like, and this is, again, it's something encouraging because you're doing something together with more people, right? It's not only you, right? And that's the power of this kind of community feeling that you can build. And for me, it's more than like a platform. It's like a matter of culture. And that's the concern that we have right now, right? Because instead of just talking to AI, which is, in my opinion, very, very dangerous, we have to encourage people to talk with people.
Yes. That is a great point. We do have to encourage people to talk to people. Are there any other features on this page here that you feel is important for people to know about?
Yes, well, I think we covered let's say the main ones, which is the ability for you to add more rooms with different purposes. Like it can be a conference room, it can be like a story. I joined, Dr. Tania, a meeting from a person. Was like one of the best experiences that I had. I landed in a kind of a lobby, and from the lobby, he moved me because there's a way for you to move attendees, right? Which is
correct. Yes.
the camera in my front of myself, but let me try to click. Okay, here it is. Move attendees, and then you can just choose like which room that you want, and then you move to another room. And he moved us to a different room, and he started designing something. There is a methodology name, but I don't remember which, but it was something like that. He added like a, let me just put two circles here. This one here, and I'll duplicate. It was something like this, where every two people, you have like an arrow. You see, and then let me just put one more here, and this navigation here, and duplicate this one here. Put here, okay. And then you have like, hey guys, see, 6 and 13 are together, 14 and 17 are together. And if you click on this button here, it will take you to your room.
Oh, okay.
That was super cool. And he created in a circle, right? I'm doing a very brief example here, but I ended up in a room full of flowers that I never forgot, with a person that is actually really cool. And we had a really nice conversation of 5 minutes, and then he brought us back to the main room. And again, it's just like different experiences, right? And you get into different, you don't know what to expect, what kind of room you're landing in, right? And that's one of the magic of creating these experiences.
That is so cool. That is very cool. How clever. There's so many features to it that I still don't know about. Again, I don't do that part behind the scenes. Damien does that for us for our network, but how fun for kids, right? To pair them up. So, that's what you're saying. You paired them up and said, okay, these numbers are together. This is your number. You're going into these spaces, and then you can do a shuffle and things like that. So I love that opportunity for people to be able to do. So, if an organization wants to, to use this platform, how do they get a hold of you? What do they need to do next in order to get go brunch for their school or their church or their youth group?
Yeah, well, we do have our website, but if you are a school, or if you are like any kind of academic institution, get in touch with Dr. Tania, right? Because then we can try to design a project customized for you.
Yeah.
And like, right, with dedicated tutors and everything together, using our experience that we already have with Go Ranch, and of course, experience that we have dealing with students, right? And then we can set up like a space that is suitable for your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love this space. I love that it holds up to 600 people in a space. That's a lot of people to be able to do. You might want to have a youth summit. I mean, those are some things that could be in here, a hobbyist club, youth summits, different things like that, where you don't have to worry about the travel fees, the travel costs. All of those things come into place when you can congregate in a virtual area, a setting. It's all customizable. That's what the beauty of this whole space is. It's not just going into, like I said, Zoom or Teams or, go Google Meet, and it's customizable. It's better than having even just a virtual background on, because you're sitting in a virtual space and you feel like you are. And I love that about this space.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Richard, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you want to tell the audience?
No, just want to thank you for having me, Dr. Tania, and everyone who's watching, Jackie. And not sure if we have more people here, but it was an amazing opportunity for us to share. And hopefully this is just the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love this space. Like I said, we use it for our network currently. And so it is something that we love. It's easy. There's one link. People just go straight to that link all the time. The owner of that space can change the link if they want to change it out every time, but it's easy to get into and easy to navigate. You can use it on your phones. People can join from their phone. It's a web browser based, so very easy. So thank you, Richard, for being here and sharing this with us about different ways that we can get our teens working for schools, socializing, clubs, hobbies, things like that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Everyone, we'll see you next Monday. Take care. Bye now.